This is Centennial Boys basketball coach Josh Giles, and you are watching the Inland Sports Show.
Welcome to the Inland Sports Show, everybody. My name is Pep Fernandez. Thank you for tuning in live on Wednesday night. We usually kick off at 7:05, but we got a little early tonight, just a couple minutes early because, well, frankly, I was ready to go. So first pitch was a couple minutes early, but we appreciate you tuning in. Big show. A lot of high school football, as we always do. In just a moment, we're going to check in with the big 1-2 punch of the Aquinas Falcons football team, JoJo Solis and Champ Brown. JoJo a senior, Champ a sophomore, man, and they've got Aquinas poised to make another deep playoff run. If you remember last year, they exited in the first round, and that didn't sit well with Aquinas, so they've got big plans this season. First, though, wrap up another Ironwood League championship. A little bit later in the show, we're going to check in with Jeff Gorm from Riverside TV. Listen, if you don't know yet, here you go. Ramona and Norte Vista are undefeated. They will play head-to-head live on Riverside TV, and it's a huge double dip. I don't know if it's a double header because they're not one after the other, but at the same time, simultaneously, as Ramona's taking on Norte Vista live on Riverside TV, Hemet will be playing Hillcrest in Sunbelt League supremacy, man. There's big-time implications in that game as well. Both of them are live on Riverside TV, so we're going to check in with Jeff Gorm, get his thoughts on those games and some of the other premier matchups on the gridiron coming up in week number 7. A little bit later in the show, the Boost Man, Ray Bass from Boost Performance Training, will sit down with Kevin Watson, the Arlington boys basketball coach, to talk about recruiting, training. Is it more important to train and practice than it is to actually play games? Do you develop, better or more quickly, or however you want to say that? So we're going to sit down with the Boost Man and head coach Kevin Watson later in the show as well. And then, if you haven't heard already, I'm hosting a CBU athletics podcast. We've already done several episodes. We're going to play a snippet from the last episode, get you guys turned on to that so you can check it out weekly for CBU. But first things first, high school football. Let's do this. The Aquinas Falcons, JoJo Solis and Champ Brown, man. 6-2 on the season, in the driver's seat for the Ironwood League title. And hopefully, fingers crossed, they're working hard to make another deep run in CIF. Here's JoJo and Champ.
Inland Sports.
And now join us here on the Inland Sports Show as these guys are trying to pick up another Ironwood League championship. We got two big-time players from the Aquinas Falcons, JoJo Solis and Champ Brown. Guys, congrats on the season so far. I know it, got off to a tough start because you played some really good teams early on at the start of the season. But right now, how well is the team playing? JoJo, I'll start with you, man. Are you pleased at where the team is, at the level it's playing right now? And do you feel like maybe this Aquinas team will get even better before you hit the playoffs?
Oh, for sure. We for sure play some tough games, and it for sure got us ready. Like, we could see the difference and the intensity in practice, which is best on best. You're gonna give your best, and you're gonna receive the best, and that's how practice has been lately. And this team for sure, this is the team. It's the team.
So, Champ, even just going to practice, how does practice make you better? Because you're going up against some great defenders at that Aquinas practice every day, I'm sure.
Yeah, just going against all of our guys is great on great, like JoJo said. And we just give each other the same energy all practice, We just go hard every rep, like Coach tells us to, and we just make it a great practice with good energy. Sure.
All right. See, you guys can both play running back, and I don't know if it's fair to call you Thunder and Lightning because you're both physical and you're both fast. JoJo,
Yeah.
I'll start with you. I'm going to ask you what makes Champ a great running back. And Champ, I'm going to ask you what makes JoJo a great running back. So, JoJo, let me start with you. I mean, Champ's a sophomore now. We've seen him for a couple seasons. You know the drill. You started as a freshman and kind of, now you're finally a senior. I feel like you've been at Aquinas like 30 years now because we've been talking about you for so long. But what do what impresses you about Champ? I know he's only a sophomore, but man, he's already, having a breakout season.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's for sure doing his thing. And the thing that impresses me the most is how he presents himself. And the thing, like, that's off the field. But on the field, I would like his vision and his elusiveness, unmatchable. Unmatchable. That boy getting shifty. I'm gonna tackle him. And he got great vision. But yeah, off the field too, he just the way he presents himself and the way he carries this certain chip on his shoulder. And you could just see the demeanor. And that's
how about you, Champ? I mean, obviously, you're a sophomore now, so you've had a season and a half, like basically 2 years, studying and working under JoJo and seeing how he operates. One of the top players in the Inland Empire. What impresses you about JoJo's game?
What impresses me is how aggressive JoJo is and just the attitude that he plays as he works, like he's the best, So I just see that, and I also see his speed. He has unmatchable speed. Could break out anywhere, hole, he's out of there, So that just shows me that he's a great player. And he also has a great leadership too. He leads the team left and right and off the field and on the field. So that's a great thing too.
All right, guys, let me ask you about the start of the season. You played some really good teams early on. I know Jay Sarah was on the schedule. Oak Hills was on the schedule. How do you think that made Aquinas better, having that tough schedule early on in the season to see some really good teams, probably the caliber of teams you're going to see down the road come CIF playoff time? Yeah,
for sure. It brought an audience too. Aquinas is making a name of herself, and a lot of people are starting to realize who Aquinas really is. And our job is to just carry on the legacy of what Aquinas has been. So that's where we're at right now.
And Champ, was it eye-opening for you to go up against like some really good defenses? Jay Sarah, Oak Hills. I know that Citrus Valley game, that was another big game. You guys won that one against the Blackhawks. So those first 3 games, you saw some great defenses. So, I mean, do you think you guys are better for it?
Oh, yeah, I think we're better for it for sure. And I feel like that made us better as a team, It made us better physically and mentally better as a team, just to push together and be together as a team and just like to never give up,
So I had to ask your boy, Coach Agno, like how many league titles has it been in a row for Aquinas? Because honestly, you guys win so many, I lost track. And he's like, I think it's 6 in a row. What does it mean to you guys to keep that legacy going, to hang another league championship banner? Aquinas has just been collecting them right and left, but especially for you, JoJo, being a senior, to hang one more up there and cement your legacy. I guess that would be 4 league titles for you, right?
For sure. League titles is cool, but we're title. We're trying to get that state title. So we just got to stay focused and be ready for the playoffs and get through this league. And hopefully that it prepares us to become ready for the playoffs.
All right, let me ask both of you guys, speaking of playoffs. So last year, you're Division 5, you go on the first round to Foothill, and you lose that first round game. And I think a lot of people, including myself, I've talked to Coach Brucing about this, Coach Agno, a lot of people just assumed you guys would be in the finals. Do you guys have a chip on your shoulder? Do you feel like you have something to prove still?
Most definitely. Most definitely, I'll say we have a chip on our shoulder because that game sets the bar for this season. Nobody wants to be first round exits, and we just want to be better than we were last season and just prevail because we shouldn't have lost that game, and we should have been better, but we're going to be more prepared this year.
For sure. That loss really, it hit us in the heart. So I think that was the foundation for the way our team is right now.
Yeah, even though you guys have had a ton of success at Aquinas, do you feel like in a way, like, man, we still have something to prove? Like we got to go out there and prove ourselves all over again.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. It's not over with. The stuff in the past is in the past. You win some, you lose some, but people are always going to remember more of the losses than the wins. So we got to keep proving that point and proving why our name should stay at the top.
So you guys going in here to week 7, where do you think Aquinas can be better? Like if you were going to say like, hey man, I think we could be better on defense, or I feel like, or offensively we could still score more points. Like where are some areas you feel like this team can still clean up, can still get better. So that way, by the time you get to the playoffs, you guys are peaking at the right time.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like we're firing on all cylinders right now. Just I feel like a lot of us, it's just the mental part and just getting through the game and learning how to finish. Because we put the pedal to the metal a lot, but we get off the gas a little bit at halftime. So that's what we've been working on, just keep the pedal to the middle.
Yeah, I agree with JoJo. And I will also say just the mental things, like he said, like penalties, like the little mistakes. Because I feel like we're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing.
Do you guys feel like at least this part of the season, you've been more of a first half team? It's coming out, after the break and trying to, I don't know, get refocused or get dialed back in, right?
Yeah, we've been getting it together. We've been punishing lately, so it's looking good.
Nobody wants Coach Brusick yelling at halftime. You guys just need to get your act together, right?
Yeah, that man, stay on it. That's a great man right there.
Great coach.
All right, JoJo, we all want to know, man, what are you doing next season? Where are you playing at? What's going on?
Oh man, we're gonna have it real soon. Signing day December, so I leave early so I can start spring ball with them, but we'll find out real soon.
And Champ, for you, I don't know if you remember this, but I remember this. I was at a University of Redlands football camp. This was I think the summer before your freshman season. I think JoJo was out there. I think Yakeem Halliburton was out there. And you came up to me and you introduced yourself. And I'm like, oh, man, that's cool, man. That's courageous. He's bold. He came up, introduced himself. And you're like, hey, I'm Champ Brown. I'm going to be a running back at Aquinas. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, but you know what? Kids come up to me all the time. Are like, oh, yeah, I play football at Aquinas or Centennial or whatever. I'm like, okay, that's cool, whatever. And then I'm like, a season after, I'm like, oh, wait, Champ Brown, man, he is the real deal. Like, I know why he came up and introduced himself to me. He wasn't just some random kid, man. He was the real deal. So, Champ, as you try to get your name out there, as you try to get more exposure, I mean, obviously the numbers don't lie. People can just look at the highlight, reels and see what you're doing for the Falcons. But how's your college recruiting going? And, just how are you trying to get your name out there and maybe get some more publicity?
It's going great. And the way I'm trying to get my name out there is going to these camps, doing the right things, also keeping my grades right so I can have stuff to back it up. And just by working out, like with my support system, my dad, my mom, and just doing all the right things,
And Champ, have you, I don't know, talked to JoJo or sought his advice or just kind of, watched maybe from afar, like how he goes through the recruiting process? He was committed to a big time program. I know there's a lot of schools that still want him. Do you kind of observe, how he's going through this? Because you're going to be going through the same thing, I think.
Yes, I did. Actually, I would think earlier this year, I asked him a couple questions about how he got his first offer and stuff like that. It was just late night. We were just talking. And I was just asking him a couple questions about how it is and how does it go.
And JoJo, if there was one bit of advice, if there was like one thing that you think Champ should know just about the recruiting process, visiting schools, getting offers, like what would you tell him?
Oh, just stay on track, bro. It's a mental game at the end of the day, and it's also a business decision. So it's just, you can't take everything to heart. You got to just stay focused and just keep doing you.
Well, you guys, if you take care of your business on the field, everything else will fall into place, and you guys are doing that right now. The Aquinas Falcons soaring towards another league championship. Guys, congrats on the season so far, but like you just said, man, none of this will matter if you can't go deep into the playoffs, and that's always the goal, the expectation, the standard now for Aquinas football. So, guys, best of luck the rest of the season, and hopefully when we talk again, maybe you're hoisting a CIF championship at the end of this thing.
That's the goal. We'll see. That's the goal, Pep.
That's Champ Brown. That's JoJo Solis here on the Inland Sports Show. Thank you so much, guys.
Inland Sports. All right, JoJo and Champ, man, it sounds like I don't know, like a hip-hop duo or a TV show, JoJo and Champ. But yeah, they're a great 1-2 punch for the Falcons, and we'll see what they can do this year. If they go Division 5, see if they can get a little bit further. They've got a couple CIF championships under their belt at Aquinas under head coach Jordan Brusick, so they've got a great thing going, but I know that did not sit well with them last year, exiting in the first round on the road at Foothill. All right, we come back here on the Inland Sports Show. We're going to check in with the Big Jeezy. We are going to go over all the big games coming up in week number 7, including that big Norte Vista versus Ramona battle, the Ken Sporting Goods must-see game. We'll be right back here on the Inland Sports Show. And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Ken Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Yucaipa, right off the 10 freeway at Yucaipa Boulevard. Eat more chicken. And if you'd like to promote your business or organization on the show, send us an email. Help us share the positive sports stories here in the Inland Empire. The Inland Sports Show is proud to partner with Dr. Marcus Paulson and Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Dr. Paulson and his team work with children, teens, and adults using orthodontic products like traditional braces and Invisalign to make a difference in the appearance, comfort, and function of each patient's teeth. Paulson Orthodontics welcomes new patients, so schedule a visit today. Paulson Orthodontics. We make braces fun.
Want to know the best type of recovery for athletes at zero cost? I'm talking about sleep, of course. As an athlete, good sleep can help you reduce your risk of injury, improve your strength and power output, as well as improve your overall work capacity. It also helps you bounce back quickly from the stress of competition. As a student, adequate sleep can help boost your mood, cognition, productivity, and relationships. Bottom line, don't sleep on sleep. Boost man.
All right, welcome back to the Inland Sports Show. We're doing a lot of high school football in this segment. Jeff Gorham from Riverside TV will join us in just a moment. But first, how about our big boost play of the week? Let's rewind back to the big battle in the Citrus Belt League. In fact, it was the CBL opener for Cajon and Beaumont, and it went all the way down to the wire. Inland Sports. So let's do this. Beaumont would battle back against Cajon. Cougars with the football, trailing by, I think it was 5. I think it was 31-26 when Jeremiah Duhu, the quarterback, hits Braden Miller for the touchdown. Beaumont goes on to win 34-31. The final score. It was our big boost play of the week. Now we've got the big Jeezy, Jeff Gorham. And joining us now on the Inland Sports Show, the show rolls on with the one and only Big Jeezy to break down some high school football. He is in his car, probably in front of like a Burger King or something. Where are you right now?
I am in front of a 7-Eleven. My son,
That's close.
yeah, my son has soccer practice, and there's no reception, so I drove over by 7-Eleven in my secret location, and I'm just sitting here in the car, and you said, let's do an interview. I said, why not? I've never used my phone before. I got my seatbelt on.
You're safe. Yeah, you're safe. Yeah, you know.
How are you, Pep?
I'm doing good, man. We got a big week of football to talk about. Our Ken Sporting Goods must-see game this week is Norte Vista taking on Ramona. The Braves are 6-0. The Rams are 6-0. They are rivals. It's for first place in the River Valley League. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than this. Oh, yeah, by the way, it's going to be live on Riverside TV. So it was easy to pick the Ken Sporting Goods must-see game this week with Norte Vista and Ramona. Jeff, I do have to ask you about this big-time matchup in the city of Riverside, because on your Riverside TV show, The Coach's Perspective, you work at Norte Vista, but you picked Ramona to win the game. How's that going?
Oh, it's going horribly, Pep. That's why I look so darn tired. I show up today at school, and every kid on campus wants to beat me up and say, you didn't pick us? And I said, I really didn't. No. I said, I think that Ramona's playing better football at this time than you guys are. And, of course, I got the side eye, and Batdorf yelled at me. Then we had lunch together, so we're fine. But, no, I think Ramona really is just playing good football. And until somebody beats them, they haven't lost. Remember, they haven't lost in a while. And they've got a streak going that I think they'd like to keep. And I know Mush feels great about his team, and, heck, so do I.
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup. The fact that they're rivals for first place, they're both undefeated. Like, it doesn't get any bigger than this. And again, it's on Riverside TV. It's the biggest game in the area, and it's our Ken Sporting Goods must-see game. So, Jeff, I contacted our guy Scott Brocious at Riverside TV because we're going to do something special with this game on Friday. And he said, yeah, go ahead. You can show it. So I know you can't see it, but I'm going to show it right now. This is like the world premiere, I guess, to the public. Here is the trophy that will go to the winning Ken. I'm not sure what we're calling this game, Jeff, but the winning Ken will get this beautiful trophy.
The cool stuff. We're going to give this out to every time these two Kens play each other. And we'll put a nice little, if you're looking at it, it's gold. That is dipped in 100% pure gold.
It's amazing. Like, I don't know why we didn't do this earlier, but it makes sense now because, again, it's such a big game, undefeated, first place, all that stuff. The time is now. We have to bring that trophy out now.
Oh, we do. And the thing is, both those guys, they're really good sports about it. I actually got the Ken doll from Brooke Batdorf, so she snuck it to me in her backpack and gave it to me. So that used to be in the Batdorf home. But no, it's going to be a great game. And I'll tell you what, like I said, I think Ramona's playing the best football that they've played in. I think better than they were last year. Shiner's a very good quarterback. They've got a great running game. They've got weapons, on the perimeter. And the line has been stellar. And I think that they have something to prove to Norte Vista. Norte Vista has been the league champ like 36 out of 37 years, it seems like, under Ken Batdorf. And I think that Ramona says, hey, we have a state championship, a CIF championship, but, man, it would look nice to have a River Valley League banner in the gym.
Amen. I'm right with you on that one. Let me ask you this before we move on to some other games quickly. The trophy, you've seen it, I've seen it, now everyone has seen it. Does it look more like Ken Batdorf or does it look more like Ken Mashinsky?
Well, I think it's about the size of Ken Mashinsky, so let's go Ken Mashinsky.
All right, fair enough. All right, so big game obviously coming up.
Yeah, and I've seen Ken Batdorf without his shirt on, and I'll tell you what, that's not bad. It's definitely Mashinsky.
All right, we'll go with Mush on that one. All right, Jeff, I'm going to punch up a graphic on the screen. I know you can't see it, but I'm going to run through some of these big games coming up this week in week number 7. We got Centennial versus Vista Murrieta in the Big West, Murrieta Valley and Chaparral in the Big West. Ivy League, 2 huge games, Vista Del Lago and Rancho Verde, also Orange Vista and Liberty. And the CBL, Beaumont now in the driver's seat with that big win against Cajon last week. They've got Yucaipa now, that's a rivalry game. Hemet versus Hillcrest, another Riverside TV game. Sunbelt League supremacy on the line in that one. And Carter versus Bloomington for first place in the Skyline League. Those are some of the top games in week number 7. Jeff, anything about those matchups that kind of jump out at you?
Chaparral. I think Chaparral, they're playing Murrieta Valley. Is that Vista, or no, is it Murrieta Valley?
Yeah, Murrieta Valley and Chaparral.
You know what? I'm going to go on a limb and say Chaparral. That could be a good one. without Bear Bachmeyer, that line of Chaparral, I think that's an intriguing one. You mentioned the Hillcrest Hemet game. That one's really exciting because we've seen Hillcrest several times. Haven't seen Hemet, but we hear so much about Hemet that I'd love to see them play against our very best in Riverside.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game as well. That's it. Friday night, flipping back and forth between the two games, on Riverside TV. Novi and Ramona, Hemet and Hillcrest, man, two awesome games there. All right, quickly, the Boost Top 25 poll. Listen, no change in the top 10. They are who we thought they were. At this point of the season, we kind of know, but that Marietta Valley versus Chaparral game is going to be huge. Whoever wins that game will be number 2 right there behind Centennial, of course. Beaumont comes in at number 4. Assuming they beat Ukaipa, they'll stay at number 4. Let's see, down the list. On the other side, that's where it kind of gets a little murky, is on the other side, 11 through 25. Norco, 2 and 4, but they're actually pretty good. Vista del Lago, Hemet, Ramona, they're all 6-0 right now. They are all climbing the rankings at this point. If they continue to win, they'll continue to go up. Rancho Christian and San Gorgonio joining the party for the first time this season. Both earned it, but they both deserve it. Rancho Christian at number 24 at 4-1-1, and San Gorgonio at 5-0. But I'll say this, Jeff, our good buddy Chris Chaddick and San G will take on Harupa Hills this Friday night. So we're going to find out it's actually a Thursday night game. It's tomorrow night. We're going to find out if Sanji is legit. We got him in the top 25, but now it's up to them to stay there, and they've got a chance. If they beat Harupa Hills, then we got it right. They belong in the top 25. If they lose to Harupa Hills, then maybe Harupa Hills belongs in the top 25.
Well, is that our boy Tommy Leach?
Tommy Leach, the great Tommy Leach.
Tommy Leach versus Chris Chaddick. Oh, that's a doozy. But I will say this. I do say if Novi loses to Ramona and Hemet takes care of Hillcrest handily, I would have to put Hillcrest or Hemet maybe in that 10th spot. But if Novi wins, they got to stay right there.
Ooh, you put
that makes sense.
Hemet all the way up there, huh?
I think if Ramona is able to take care of Novi, Ramona deserves to move up. I don't think they're 10. But if Hemet can take care of Hillcrest, solidly, I think Hemet might be that team we're talking about that could break that top 10 and move up even farther.
All right, let me throw you a real curveball here. Let's say Ramona beats Norte Vista, and what if Vista del Lago beats Rancho Verde and goes to 7-0 and they beat Rancho Verde? Could they go top 10?
Yes, they might go. they go 10. Then we bump whoever the spot would be, either Hemet, Norte Vista, or Ramona in that 10th spot. They would have to jump to 11.
It would be a battle. And what if Norco picks off Vista Marietta or Chaparral or someone like that? We're gonna have a real mess.
No, we're not. Norco's played a great schedule, a tough schedule, I should say.
Yes.
But they have to get that signature win. They have not got that yet.
All right, so that's the Boost Top 25 after week number 6, going into week number 7. The good thing is, people say like, oh, they should be ranked higher, or maybe they should be lower. The good news is most of these teams are going to play head-to-head. So we're going to find out on the field. The rankings will take care of themselves. I always say that this time of the year because we've got so many great head-to-head matchups. It'll be, hopefully, it'll be easy. Now, if they all take turns beating each other up, then that's going to be a problem. But there should be a couple teams that kind of separate from everybody else, and I think that's what we're going to see.
Okay, what if I throw this one before I let you go? Marietta Valley gets Bear Bachmeyer back in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Hypothetically, that'll be after the Centennial game, but man, how good could Marietta Valley be coming in at the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. What if, all these hypotheticals, what if they lose to Chaparral and Marietta Valley is the 3rd place team? What if they were even the 4th place team out of that league? They drop down a division or 2, because right now they're a Division 2 team right now. But what if they slip to Division 3 or something like that? Would that be the worst thing in the world? I know they're not trying to lose. They're probably going to be 2nd or 3rd, but especially if Bear Bachmeyer comes back, I don't see them losing very much at all, if any games.
Okay, if they don't lose, then they might go Division 1, depending on how many teams are in the
division.
Because they can't just take parochial schools. They can't just do that. they're going to have to dump into or take some out of the public schools. I think Marietta Valley could be in that Division I talk if they can run the table, and if they give Centennial a good game, they could be D1.
Yeah, I mean it's basically in Division I. It's Centennial, Mission Viejo. Mission Viejo is pretty good this year. Centennial, Mission Viejo, and the Trinity League. That's kind of what you're looking at.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, for D1. But for Marietta Valley, they're probably thinking, just take 8 schools, keep us in Division II. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Bear Bachmeyer comes back, and then there you go. They're the favorite to run it to the title.
Yes, there you go. That was my caveat.
Oh, look at you, Jeff, with a curveball. All right, let's end it like this because everybody wants to hear from the Big Jeezy. Right now on the screen is the flyer for the River Valley League Sportsmanship Symposium. It's coming up on Wednesday at Jeff's alma mater, Ram High at Ramona High School. There's a lot of great speakers, but none better than the Big Jeezy himself. So, Jeff, we all want to know, what are you talking about, man? You're the sportsmanship guy. What are you gonna inspire these kids with?
I might tell them what I did earlier that morning as far as making breakfast for my kids, doing homework, going to soccer practice, trying to keep your house clean. No, I'm going to talk about being positive, Pep. You know me. It's always about how you perform as a teammate, how you perform on the bench, how you perform at home, and just being a good all-around solid person. If you can do those things, you'll be successful. Whatever you do, that's it. Just be successful by being a very good person, and that's it.
In sports and in life. Now, listen, we all know you're a great guy now, but let's rewind a couple years ago. You're a junior, senior at Ramona High School. Good dude?
No, I was a real jerk. No, I was an arrogant guy. I mean, I was 18, 17 years old. I was good looking, had the best hair on campus. I was playing basketball. But no, we didn't have people telling us, don't be a ding dong on the court. We didn't have those people. And now they have me to inspire them and to not be the guy I was and try to strive to be the person I've become.
I'll be there as well. Rick Croy, head basketball coach at CBU. He'll be there as well amongst other people. But yeah, the Big Jeezy is the headliner. Just preaching sportsmanship out there for the River Valley League. That's next Wednesday.
I can't wait. I'm writing a speech right now while I'm waiting for my kid to get out of practice. My kid's probably getting out of practice. And he's looking around saying, my dad left me. And I don't want to leave this area. It's not near the stately Gorham Manor.
Anything for the Inland Sports Show. Jeff, I'm going to let you run. Always appreciate it, brother. And we'll see you on Friday night on Riverside TV for the big Norte Vista versus Ramona game.
Okay, here's the last thing I have to say. In the great honor of Ron Main, every time you say goodbye to somebody you care about, you tell them you love them. I love you, Pep. I love everybody that watches your show.
All right, love you, Big GZ, and we'll be back with more Inland Sports Show after this. And this segment of the Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Kin Sporting Goods in Norco, #1 in the Inland Empire for team uniforms, sports equipment, and Letterman's jackets. Boost Performance Training in Corona. Athletes of all levels and all sports train at Boost. And also ask about the Bass Private School. Paulson Orthodontics in Redlands. Personalized treatment you deserve from an orthodontist you can trust. Chick-fil-A in Yucaipa, right off the 10 freeway at Yucaipa Boulevard. Eat more chicken. And if you'd like to promote your business or organization on the show, send us an email. Help us share the positive sports stories here in the Inland Empire.
Here are 3 tips for improved sleep for student athletes. Number 1, try not to perform any activities in your bedroom besides sleeping. This associates your bedroom with sleep. Number 2, only go to your bed when you're really sleepy and after a routine. This way, when you see your bed, you'll think of sleep. Number 3, if you can't sleep, get out of your bed or bedroom. This way, you can prevent your bed or bedroom from becoming a wakeful trigger. Sleep plays an important role in your development as a student and athlete. So if you want to play at your best, get some rest. Boost man.
thank God, first of all. I thank the great people that I've got around me that help support me, the people that work for me. As I started, if it wasn't for the people around me, we probably wouldn't be here right now, but I've got a great staff. I've got great people that do stuff for us outside the store, and we've been very, very fortunate. Our service is impeccable, and we just keep trying to get better every year. We can do online stuff for your teams, as well as, like I said, the screen printing, the embroidery. We also have 3 women that do extra sewing for us, like tackle tool on uniforms, or the bling or rhinestones for different shirts for the ladies. That's why we have certain racks just for certain schools, and the fun about that is that it turns into other schools that may come in here that aren't as close, that we can do stuff for them as well. We've had very, very good customers throughout the years, and it's just been a blast.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show, everybody. In this segment, we've got another gridiron question with the boost man, Ray Bass. What we've been doing is going to different schools, different coaches, and just really seeing how they train, how they prepare for success. What does a winning culture look like? All those sorts of things. We had Josh Giles, Centennial boys basketball coach. We had Andy Wise, the Corona High School baseball coach. And in this edition, we've got Kevin Watson, the boys soccer coach at Arlington High School. The Lions going to the CIF Southern Section Open Division Championship match last year against Mater Dei. So they had a great run. In fact, they've had a really great run. They have a Division II CIF championship under their belt in the last 5 years, going Open Division, making it to the finals. They've emerged as the top program in the Inland Empire. So the boost man, Ray Bass, wanted to sit down with their head coach, Kevin Watson, to pick his brain a little bit. Now, listen, there was about an hour-long conversation, and I wish I was recording video for the whole thing, but there is a 25-minute conversation between the boost man and Coach Watson on the Inland Sports Show YouTube channel. We're not going to play the whole thing here on the show. We're going to play about 15 minutes or so. But if you'd like to see the whole thing, go check it out here on the YouTube channel as well. But some really good stuff, some real gold in this conversation. So here's the boost man and Coach Watson in a gridiron question here on the Inland Sports Show.
What's up, Pep? It's your boy Boost Man. We're back on the gridiron where we discuss all the hot topics in youth development straight from the coaches. We're here in Riverside at Arlington High School with Coach Kevin Watson. In case you didn't know, Coach Watson has built a perennial powerhouse here at Arlington High School with their soccer program. Last year, you guys were 25-2. You've had numerous seasons, 20-plus wins. So, Coach, I've always felt like soccer was quietly one of the most competitive sports in the country. You know, and I say quiet because, you know, baseball, football, basketball, they may make all the noise, but from numbers and participation, you know, soccer is always held strong. You know, and when I think about it from a competitive standpoint, you can't help but to think about club soccer. You know, there's so many teams out there. They're often competing throughout the year. Let's talk about club soccer and the impact that it has on young athletes for high school and college readiness.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of a loaded question. But I think, like you said, I think the soccer in general has become far more popular because you're seeing elite athletes support it, right? Yeah. You got my man Kobe Bryant, who will come in a soccer kid. You got LeBron James involved. You're starting to see American football players at games. OBJ, right? They say was arguably maybe a better soccer player at times before he became an elite football player. But then it's obviously just the diversity that comes with the game, right? Size and height doesn't play a factor. So I think collectively everybody's more intrigued to try it in the beginning, and then either you stay with it or not. But in regards to the club scene, as you said and noted, it is extremely competitive. It's become a sport that is definitely exponentially growing. I think where this country's going, it's been I guess you could say a little complicated since COVID. I think what's happening in the club side is you're starting to see a kind of a trend towards like trying to professionalize it a little bit. Gotcha. The travel ball is definitely becoming more expensive, and so it may be closing doors for certain people, but collectively everybody's wanting to get in with the fear of if they don't, maybe they won't be prepared for the later stages. Yeah. And that's their high school experience, and if they're blessed to get beyond high school, then it's the collegiate experience, right? Gotcha. I think for me, having been involved in both as a leadership for club and as a high school coach, I think more probably now than ever, it's a time where the two need to coincide together a little bit and create a cohesion where understanding that without club, high school athletics may not succeed for soccer, but without high school athletics, club might not succeed as well. So I think the two together, I've always preached the beauty of high school athletics within the club setting, because what we're doing is we're balancing out what it takes to be a student athlete, right? So I think what the club offers is obviously the opportunity to create an environment, hopefully a positive one that not only preaches being a good player, but holistically creating an environment where we're teaching about life as well. Sure. And we're teaching about what is important to be a good person, not just a good athlete. And then hopefully that translates into their academics, that translates into who they are as a human being. Yes. And then hopefully seeing that product being celebrated and creating good experiences in their high schools. And that's where you get all the obviously all the club players get into their environments and they have pride in their community, and it's nice to see like the two intertwine together.
For sure. I love the fact anytime a coach says using sports to create better human beings, I love that. Because I'm big on that. I think that's what sports is all about. It's more than just, winning. It's more than just scholarships. Whatever experience that these young student athletes have now, it's gonna stay with them for the rest of their lives. So I think that's pretty cool. It's interesting the effect that COVID. I was speaking with a coach last week. They talk about how much the culture has changed since COVID, and it sounds like for club, that's making it more professional, making it so it's as you put it, kind of closing the doors, closing out a lot of student athletes. That's interesting. But I like the fact that, the commonality, finding the commonality in terms of, how club and high school can exist together, So with that being said, is it necessary, would you got to start with club, is it something that you would recommend student athletes to do before they take that step into high school?
Yeah, what I always encourage, I try not to, gauge a player's background based on their club, but more importantly, I encourage them to find a setting that holds them to a high standard. Find a setting where you have a leader that not only just pushes you as a person, but pushes you, again, back to our original point, like to be a collective, student athlete and a good human being. And then find a program where, they have a culture and a standard that has evidence of kids going through the program of being good players. If the goal is collegiate soccer, they have a history of pushing kids to that direction. But I think it's about the relationships, it's about the environment. So it's down to coaching, right? It's finding somebody that can align with what you believe is going to make you a good person, and hopefully that's something that will again translate in them being good, not just on the field, but off the field. So yes, so I think if we're talking pure trying to be an elite athlete, you need to put in the time, you need to put in the reps, you need to put in the preparation. So the idea of getting into an environment outside of high school, I would say, is necessary. For sure. But it can be counterproductive at the same time. So I always, I tell them, it doesn't define you in that experience, but it can help you if you get the right setting.
So how so?
in terms of it being counterproductive? How would you say that?
So here's a few examples. So, I always, I encourage players, just like anything, we separate the two environments from high school and club, and your role there and your role here might be the same when it's all said and done. But just like when you're in the real world, you have to be adaptable. There's going to be difference of opinions and different, game models and standards and expectations depending on the situation. But the best players are able to adapt in any environment and stick out. Nice. So I think that's what I encourage them to do. And it's not like we're trying to create that friction, but I always encourage even the players that I coach in clubs, say, hey, when you go into your high school environment, I want you to be the best.
Yeah.
And that means you respect your coach, respect the environment, but ask questions, be obviously inquisitive in what you're trying to do, but more importantly, set the example, set the standard. And guess what? It may not be something you like to do, but guess what? Sometimes we got to do things we don't enjoy, but it's also the moments like those that make us who we are, make us better. So I encourage people to, use that as a driving tool, but also be very aware of it that your club doesn't define who you are. And the players that can be successful at both are generally the ones that you see succeeding in life. And obviously seeing, signing letters of intent, playing collegiate, those kids, if you look them up, they're stars in their club setting, they're stars in their high school setting.
Yeah.
Very rarely do you see a kid that, he didn't play high school, wasn't a star there, but was a star in his club setting, and now he's an elite player here.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, there's a commonality between good players, and I think if it's accountability set in both settings, that's where I think you find that success.
Nice. No, I like that. How you do one thing is how you do everything. It's all connected. I love how you brought up culture. That's a word that I always use. It comes up with a lot of great coaches. I grew up playing football. I never knew too much about soccer culture growing up, especially the club scene. But in my perception of it was almost like year-round play. I was sitting with a coach a month ago. We were talking about, development for basketball players. We were talking about, how they do it overseas compared to here, with the idea that, like out in Europe, they focus more on deliberate practice compared to here where it's all about playing games. Do you feel like the culture of youth soccer with club is similar to that? Like there's more focus on competition and games than there is, actually like practice and development?
Yeah, that's funny. I just scrolled through and I favorited a video, and it was a basketball video sharing that same thing. I guarantee we're looking at the same video, but it's sharing that culture of just the focus on I think it was an AAU is what they call, right? Their travel of so many games and no training.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is where people disagree with me, because there'll be a lot of parents say, well, the more you play, the better you get. You're not incorrect. But there's a difference in periodizing, making sure that you train more than you play, especially at the younger ages. And there's also that to be argued as professionals. You hear it all the time on the soccer side, especially in other countries where they're complaining about too many games.
Yeah.
For our environments, particularly for those middle school and high school ages, I stress, I always talk about spirit and the desire to want to be the best. And we play our game model is surrounded by this idea of family football and feeling, but more importantly, we play like tomorrow's never promised. So we are aggressive. We come with our heart on our sleeve. We're passionate. We celebrate. We really play like it's our last game. The downside of that is it takes a lot of energy to play like that.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to do that consistent every day. But I've always said, you train the way you play. So the training environment for me is process driven, and it creates hopefully what's an experience on game day where it should be more of an enjoyment and an execution and just coming together as a brotherhood.
For sure.
To go out and execute all the principles and ideas that you talked about for the week, right?
Yeah.
Now, to your point, when you're just playing games, you lose that factor.
Yeah.
Because I think in the process, there has to be struggle. There has to be those times where you're questioning of why we're doing this. I don't want to go up to training, but those little moments are the best moments because they prepare you for the most adverse situations you're going to see on game day. But you miss those if you're not training. Yeah. So, and I just think the games are so, your impact as a coach, you think you're impacting it, but it's your impact is already done in training. post or pre-game, those little conversations, calling your captains, your players, individually, give them that love.
Mm-hmm.
And then the game day, it's like, it's not as impactful because you've done all the work there.
For sure.
So if you lose all that preparation and that process, I feel like you lose the ability to, in my opinion, to fully grow to your potential. So to answer your question, I'm definitely I'm more old school, but I do believe that training in less games creates what I feel would be a better environment for our kids, especially at the younger ages.
For sure. You know, we were talking a little bit earlier about long-term athletic development, and I'm a big believer that kids burn out as well. With all that competition. I liked how you brought up, the fact that a lot of the pros are asking for less games. It makes me think of a conversation I was having with some of my student athletes, where talking about training and rest and or just so much competition. And I'm like, look, why would you do something that professional athletes don't even do, right? Like when you think about it. And of course, their answer was, "Well, coach, we're trying to get on that level. We got to close that gap." How would you answer that question for a student athlete who's like, "Look, I want to be that guy, so I need to accumulate that many reps and hours"?
Yeah, so this is a conversation my assistant and I had last year a lot. Was we're trying to get in the open. It was like, why are we playing? Like, there's some games you walk away and you're just like, what did we really get out of it? Yeah, okay, we won 8-9-0, whatever, right? Statistically, it's a fun day. You get everybody to play, but like collectively in our growth, we didn't grow. We didn't grow that day, right? Yeah. So I think to educating parents and educating players on understanding that, number one, the games should be the top of your training environment. Like, it should be the optimal experience, the most challenging, but you're giving everything you got. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think you see that as much. You know what I mean? I think it just gets a little, like you said, like the AAU market, and even like club soccer. I hear, funny enough, I'm starting to hear coaches start to say that they're recruiting more high school games, ironically, which was never the case before. Like this last year, we had a number of D1 schools almost at every home game. And what they told me is like, it's coming too diluted at times, too many games. We want to see these players in an environment where they have to be the guy. Yeah. They have to be the guy. How do they respond? They're playing different situations. They're not playing maybe with players that are as an equal level, skill set wise. And how can they respond and lead? And so it's kind of it's weird. I think the trend is like changing a little bit where, like you said, the club is providing too many games. Mm-hmm. So we need to reduce that and then start to really just understand that these players, the more that we can think about their long-term development, for sure, and push the idea of like, stop thinking now, and understand that, our focus is seeing the success, to be fair, at the high school ages, right? Mm-hmm. 15, 16, 17, 18, because that's where our system's set up for every sport. Yeah. It's high school and then into a 4-year experience, whether that be NIA or the NCAA level, or JUCO. So if that's our goal, then we got to stop being so uberly focused on success at 8, 9, and 10. For sure. Because cognitively and physically, they're not even close to where they're going to be. So us to measure their success then is it's a little foolish, to be fair, right? No doubt.
All right, good stuff there from the Boost Man and Coach Kevin Watson from Arlington High School. Before we close things out here on this Inland Sports Show, hey, this coming Friday night, yes, there's some big-time high school football going on, but it's almost time for the college basketball season. The Lancers will have their 2024 basketball tip-off dinner. It signals the start of the season. We're going to hear from head coach Rick Croy on the men's side, Jared Olson, the women's basketball coach, and of course, the women's team making it to the NCAA tournament last year, taking on UCLA at March Madness in the first round. So the big tip-off dinner, it's a big fundraiser as well, and it's kind of the signal to the start of the college basketball season for California Baptist, and a great way to meet the team. We're going to be introduced to the team, and we're going to hear from a couple players. I will be hosting it along with Taylor Kilgore, who is a sports broadcaster as well, and we'll be hosting the event on Friday night. And I guess I should let everybody know as well, if you're watching us live or on demand here on the Inland Sports Show, I am back as the CBU men's basketball broadcaster. I did it for, I think, 4 seasons on ESPN Plus, and then I took last year off. But I'm back. I did the men's and women's games for a couple of years, but this season will be just the men's game. So I hope you'll check that out on ESPN Plus all season long. CBU men's basketball. It is an honor to call the Lancers games, and I'm really looking forward to it. The first game's coming up on November 4th. Also, I had the honor of helping CBU launch its first CBU Athletics podcast. We've already done several episodes. Myself and Brett Rosen, who's a CBU student and aspiring broadcaster, already has a great start in the business. And we've done several episodes so far. Our latest episode this week was with the Vice President of Athletics, Dr. Micah Parker. And the podcast, I think it was about 40 minutes this week, and that's about average. But here's just 2 minutes of the podcast talking with Dr. Parker, just so you can get a feel of it. And I encourage you to go to wherever you get your podcast, including Spotify. This is where this recording came from, was from Spotify, Apple Music, any of those things. So here's a little bit of the CBU Lancers Athletic Podcast with Dr. Micah Parker.
Welcome to the Lancers Athletic Podcast with your hosts, Pep Fernandez and Brett Rosen.
And welcome, everyone, to the Lancers Athletic Podcast. Today is October 8th, 2024. My name is Pep Fernandez. Over there on the other side of the podcast, Mr. Brett Rosen. Brett, what is going on?
It's going pretty good. Had a pretty relaxing weekend. How about yourself?
You say relaxing, but you have your 49ers shirt on. We've talked about this before. We're both Niner fans.
I wasn't going to mention it. I'm trying not to cry on the podcast, Pep, but it was kind of tough, I guess.
Well, luckily we have the Lancers because they're doing pretty well in a lot of different sports. We can forget about the 49ers. So we'll talk some Lancers here on this podcast.
Get to know your Lancers. Presented by Riverside Tire Pros.
And now join us here on the podcast, a very special treat. He is the Vice President of Athletics for California Baptist University. It is Dr. Micah Parker. The interview brought to you by Riverside Tire Pros. And Dr. Parker, welcome to the podcast. It's great to see you. I know basketball season is around the corner. You're a big basketball guy. You've got lots of coaching experience in your background as well, if people don't know that out there. Listen, I know all the different teams on campus are like your kids, right? You can't play favorites, but I mean, come on, it's basketball season. Are you excited about the tip-off coming up very soon?
Very excited about our basketball season starting. You are correct. I have lots of favorites. That's for sure. Really, whoever's competing that day, or sometimes we have multiple teams competing that day, that's my favorite.
But do you ever... you're in administrative role now. You wear a suit and tie and you make a lot of important decisions. Do you ever feel like, man, I just want to be out there with a clipboard and like yelling and drawing up X's and O's and doing that again?
Sure. Yeah. There's times I think the coaching part never leaves you. I have to check myself though. I've told my coaches, I told all my coaches, but the ones of sports that I've coached, that I'm not going to try to critique the X's and O's and those things. We're gonna talk about other larger philosophies and larger things that are going on with the team. But yeah, it's exciting. It sometimes I sit there and think, would I do that or would I have done that? Our coaches are excellent, so most of the time it's wow. I wouldn't have thought of that. So they do a great job. I enjoy watching coaches. I watch the games, but I watch our coaches because I'm evaluating them. I also watch our opposing coaches too. I'm always fascinated with how coaches can direct and impact the game.
All right, there you go. Just a sample of the CBU Lancers Athletic Podcast with myself and Brett Rosen. So check it out. That's going to do it for this edition of the Inland Sports Show. Big thanks to our guests, including Champ Brown and JoJo Solis from Aquinas football. We also had Kevin Watson, Arlington high school boys soccer, and of course the Boost Man. And the Big Jeezy, Jeff Gorm. You can hear him on the call with Ghazal Hassan Friday night in the Big Ken Bowl. It's Ken Batdorf versus Ken Mashinsky. Ramona against Norte Vista live on Riverside TV. That'll do it for this edition of the Inland Sports Show. God bless you guys. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time on your favorite show, the Inland Sports Show. Good night, everybody.